Hi, this is Lauren Goldenberg, and I'm here with my grandparents, Paul Kushner and Judy Kushner, to talk about the assassination of President John Kennedy. Question number 1. Where were you when you heard that President Kennedy had been shot?
I was in the hospital making rounds. I was inside a patient's room.
And where were you?
I was in my 6th grade classroom doing paperwork while my children were in gym class.
Did you like Kennedy as the president?
Yes, I did very much. I could relate to him. He was one of my favorite presidents.
Mine as well. He was young and he was vigorous and he was very much for the American people.
Have you ever heard of a person named Governor Connolly?
Yes, I have.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
Who was he?
He was the governor of Texas, and he happened to be in the same car that John F. Kennedy was assassinated in, and he was also shot.
I think that's very interesting how you know about him, because not a lot of people do. They just focus more on the Kennedy assassination than the other people who are also injured. Do you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald, the person who shot JFK, was the lone assassin? If not, who else do you think was involved, and do you think the truth will ever be known?
I think that Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone. I think that there was a conspiracy and there were people behind him. And whether we will ever find out the real truth, I have my doubts.
I feel that Lee Harvey Oswald probably fired the shots from the depository bookstore. However, I agree with Mom that there was a strong network that had set this up for him.
So, do you agree with the conclusions of the Warren Commission, who are the people that associated Lee Harvey Oswald as being by himself and everything else that was established after the assassination?
No, I think there's a lot of information that the public has not been privy to, and I don't know when we'll ever find out.
I agree with that. I feel that there's a lot more to it, and I do not know if we will ever know it.
Were you personally connected to JFK in any way?
Only the fact that I thought he was a great president, and I really loved him very much.
Did you vote for him?
Yes, I did.
The only personal connection I ever had was waving to him on Broad Street in Philadelphia as he passed by in a cavalcade.
Did you think that was the coolest thing?
I loved it.
Was the public ever allowed to attend his funeral?
I think the public followed the funeral procession all down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., but whether they actually got into the church, I think it was just family and close friends.
Would have you wanted to be there?
I think I would have loved to be in Washington and viewing it. It was a very patriotic, sad time for our country.
What is your opinion, if you've ever... Well, first off, have you ever seen the Oliver Stone movie, JFK?
Yes.
Did you think it was accurate?
I thought it was a very interesting movie, but I think too many subplots and too many tangential thoughts that were brought into the movie by Oliver Stone, and he embellished it to make it more pleasing to audiences to keep them intrigued.
All right, question 11 is kind of a hard question. Do you believe that there is any connection between the death of President Kennedy and the death of his brother, Robert Kennedy?
No, I think it's two different incidents. President Kennedy, I believe, was done by a conspiracy. Robert F. Kennedy was killed by Sirhan, and I think it was just an individual acting on his own free will.
So where do you think the shots were fired from in regards to Kennedy? Because I know that there's speculation from the grassy knoll or from the bank.
From Kennedy, I believe they came from the book depository building, and I truly think that they were the only shots that were fired.
I tend to agree with that theory.
All right. There's another hard question that I have. Do you believe that President or would-be President Lyndon Johnson was associated with Kennedy's death in any way?
No, I believe that Vice President Lyndon Johnson was not a favored fan of President Kennedy. However, I don't think he had anything to do whatsoever with the assassination.
I would certainly hope not.
Would you hope not because you weren't a fan of Johnson, or because you were a fan of Johnson, or?
I would hope not because he was our new president of the United States, and I certainly hope that he had nothing to do with the assassination.
All right, this is kind of an easy question. On what date and what year was Kennedy assassinated?
I believe it was 1963, November 23rd.
Is that correct?
November 22nd, 1963.
One day off, it's okay. Why do you think that Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald?
I think Jack Ruby was somewhat depressed and mentally upset about what was going on, but I think there were some people behind him that said that they would like him to kill Lee Harvey Oswald, to keep him quiet.
Do you wish that Lee Harvey Oswald was alive so further questioning could have been done, or would you rather just forgotten about the whole thing?
Absolutely. I think that the world would love to have heard Lee Harvey Oswald's story.
I agree with that.
Why?
I would like to know the truth, exactly what happened and how it all got put together. So that
Would you personally want to know that, or do you think the public should know that?
I think everybody should know that. I think it's part of the history of the United States, and we should all be informed.
All right. Well, you were a teacher. Did you tell your students after you heard the news?
My students came back from the gym class and they already had heard.
All right. How did you hear the news if you were in school with no internet or television?
I'm not quite sure. The principal came into my room and told me. I presume she probably heard it on the radio, or someone else had passed the information on to her.
And you were a doctor. Did you close down your practice?
No, I was working for the hospital as an extern, and the information came to me from the television set in the patient's room, but the hospital never closed down.
All right, and this is the last question. It's kind of a hard question also. How do you think the world would react today if Obama was shot? And how would the reaction be different than the reactions after the Kennedy assassination?
I think the world would be quite upset about any president or any person being killed. And I feel that it would be a sad state of affairs for the United States to have another president assassinated.
How do you think the reactions would be different?
I don't think the reaction would really be different. I think the murder of a president reserves it's the same reaction no matter who it may be.
Do you think that we would know more of the story today if Obama was assassinated than we did from Kennedy?
I think we have a lot better technology and we'd probably learn it faster, but would we know the true facts at the end? I don't know.
Do you agree with that?
100%.
All right, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You're very welcome.